Hi everyone, welcome back. Myself Anjita Aravid. Today we are starting a new topics from the pharmacology subject, and today onwards we are discussing about the drugs act on the nervous system. That's why here I added the basic classification of drugs act on the nervous system. And today we are detailedly discussing about the sedative and hypnotic drugs which act on the central nervous system and the pharmacology of barbiturates. First, we will start with the classification of drugs acts on the nervous system. The drug acting on the nervous system is mainly classified into the drug acting on autonomous nervous system and the drug acting on the central and peripheral nervous system. Here I added the classification of drugs which are acting on the autonomic nervous system, and it is classified into cholinergic drugs, anticholinergic drugs, drugs acting on autonomic ganglia, and adrenergic drugs or sympathomimetics, and adrenergic receptor antagonist or anti-adrenergic drugs. Here is the classification for drugs which act on the central and the peripheral nervous system. The drugs which act on the peripheral nervous system is mainly classified into two categories, that is skeletal muscle relaxants and the local anesthetics. And the drug acting on the central nervous system, it is classified into various classes such as general anesthetics, drugs used in the pre-anesthetic medication, sedative and hypnotics, anti-epileptic drugs, anti-Parkinsonian drugs, antipsychotics, anti-anxieties, antidepressants drugs, anti-manic or mood stabilizing drugs, and psychotomimetic drugs or hallucinogens, opioids, CNS stimulants, and cerebroactive drugs. These are the classification which comes under the central nervous system, drugs acting on the central nervous system. And general anesthetics and the pre-anesthetic medications are already we discussed, and in today's section we are discussing about the sedative and hypnotics. Before going to the topic on the sedative and hypnotics, here I added a small topic about the normal sleep. The normal sleep consists of distinct stages based on the three physiological measures, that is the electroencephalogram, electromyogram, and the electronyctinogram. And on this basis, the sleep is divided into two categories, that is the rapid eye movement sleep and the non-rapid eye movement sleep. The duration and pattern of sleep, which varies considerably among individuals, and the age has an important effect on the quantity and the depth of the sleep. And it has recognized that the sleep is an architectured cyclic process, and the sleep cycle is given here, and there is four stages of sleep. And in stage 1, it is light sleep, where you drift in and out of the sleep and can be awaked easily. And in this stage, the eyes moves slowly and muscles activity becomes slow, and during this stage many people experiences sudden muscle contractions preceded by a sensation of falling. And in stage 2, in this stage the eye movements stops and the brain waves become slower with only an occasional burst of rapid brain waves, and the body begins to prepare for deep sleep as the body temperature begins to drop and the heart rate slows. And the stage 3, so when a person enters the stage 3, extremely slow brain waves called the delta waves are interspersed with smaller and faster waves, and this is deep sleep. And it is this stage where a person may experience sleepwalking, night terrors, talking during one's sleeps, and bedwetting, etc. And they tend to occurring during the transition between the non-rapid eye movement and rapid eye movement sleep. And in stage 4, deep sleep continues as the brain produces delta waves almost exclusively, and the people roasted from this state feel disoriented for a few minutes. And during the stage 2, 3, and 4, the heart rate, blood pressure, and respiration rate are steady and the muscles are in relaxed state. And the stage 3 and 4, which is together, are called the slow wave sleep, SWS, slow wave sleep. So this is the sleep cycle which contain mainly 4 stages. So that's all about the sleep cycle and its stages. Now we will discuss about sedative and hypnotics. Here I added the basic definitions of the sedative and hypnotics and its site of actions. First we will discuss about the sedative. Before that, you have to study one definition, that is what is sedation. Sedation refers to the decreased responsiveness to any level of stimulation and its association with some decreased in motor activity and the ideation. So, the sedation which may decreases the responsiveness to any level of the stimulation. So, sedatives which may be the drugs which will decreases the responsiveness. So, what is a sedative? It is a drug that subduces, that is decreases the excitement and calm the subject. Subject means the patient, without inducing sleep, though drowsiness may be produced. So sedatives are the drug that reduces the excitement and calm the patient without inducing sleep. And in therapeutic doses, the sedatives are anxiolytic agent, but on larger doses, the sedative may produce hypnosis effect. And the site of action, it is on the limbic system which regulate through and the mental functions. And when comparing to the sedatives, the hypnotics, that are the drug which may produces sleep, and they are used for initiation and or maintenance of the sleep. And we already said that the sedative in larger doses it may produces hypnosis, but the hypnotics in larger doses it may produce general anesthesia. And the site of action is on the midbrain. So this all about the sedative and hypnotics, its basic definition and site of actions. Here I added the basic classification of the sedative and hypnotics. It is mainly classified into 4 categories, that is barbiturates, benzodiazepines, newer no benzodiazepine hypnotics, and the miscellaneous drugs. And the barbiturate and benzodiazepines are again classified into 3. That is the barbiturate, ultra short acting, and long acting drugs. And the ultra short acting which contains thiopental, methotrexate and hexabarbital, and short actings secobarbital and butobarbital and pentobarbital, and long acting phenobarbital and mefobarbital. And benzodiazepine, the second category is the benzodiazepine. It is again divided into 3 categories, that is hypnotics, anti-anxiety drugs and anticonvulsants. The hypnotics which contain diazepam, flurazepam, nitrazepam and flunitrazepam, temazepam, triazolam and midazolam. And anti-anxiety drugs, diazepam, lorazepam, alprazolam and chlordiazepoxides and oxazepam. And the anticonvulsant drugs, that is diazepam, clonazepam and clobazepam. And the third category is newer non-benzodiazepine hypnotics, that is saliplon and sopicolon and solpidem. And the last category is the miscellaneous drugs, which is no longer used nowadays, that is the chlorhydrase and meprobamate and paraldehyde and glutathione. So these are the main 4 category of the hypnotics and sedatives. Now we will discuss details about the barbiturate classifications. Today's section we are detailedly discussing about the barbiturate classification. So barbiturates. Barbiturates have been popular hypnotics and sedatives of the last century up to the 1960s, but are not used now to promote the sleep or to calm the patient, due to number of disadvantages like low therapeutic index, cost dependence, high abuse potential and repeated use, which leads to the development of tolerance and acute barbiturate withdrawal syndromes. Due to these reasons, the drug has been largely replaced by the newer drugs. But they are described first because they are the prototype of the CNS depressants. Thus, we can define the barbiturate as they are the CNS depressant used to sedate the patients or to induce and maintain sleep. And these drugs which may produce a dose dependent effect, that is given here, that is according to the dose it may shows sedative, hypnotics, anesthesia and up to coma. So these are the drugs which may produce a dose dependent effect too. Now we will discuss about the mechanism of action of barbiturates. The barbiturates appear to act primarily at the GABA-A benzodiazepine receptor chloride channel complex. Here I added the image of the GABA-A benzodiazepine receptor chloride channel complex. So the barbiturate which will act on these receptors. So here we can see that there is a 2 alpha, 2 beta and 1 gamma subunit is there, and in between the alpha and beta subunits there is a blue color circle is noted there, and it is denoted as barbiturate binding site. So the barbiturate receptor, it is located either on the alpha or beta subunit, and it facilitate or it potentiate the GABAergic inhibition by increasing the lifetime of the chlorine channel opening induced by the GABA. That is, when the barbiturate bind to this binding site, it potentiate the GABAergic inhibition by increasing the lifetime of the opening of the chlorine channel by inducing the GABA. At a very high concentration, the barbiturate depress the voltage sensitive sodium and potassium channels as well, and they also block the excitatory glutamate receptor while the binding of the barbiturates. So this is the basic mechanism of the barbiturate. Here I added the schematic representation of mechanism of action of both the barbiturate and benzodiazepines is there, and from this you can study the mechanism of barbiturate in easy way. So when the barbiturate, which will bind to the GABA A receptors at a different allosteric site, it facilitates the GABA A actions, and the barbiturate increases the duration of opening of the chloride channels, and it may leads to membrane hyperpolarization, and the membrane hyperpolarization may leads to the CNS depression. And at a high concentration, the barbiturate have a GABA mimetic effect. That is, the barbiturate can directly increases the chlorine conductance into the neurons. So this is the basic mechanism of the barbiturate. Now we will discuss the pharmacological action of barbiturate, and we will discuss the CNS effect of barbiturate. Barbiturates are the general depressants for all excitable cells, and the CNS is the most sensitive where the effect is almost global, but certain areas are more susceptible. We already said that the barbiturate, which may produces a dose dependent effect, that is from sedation to coma, and the coma may leads to death also, and the drug do not have selective anti-anxiety actions too, and sedative doses, that is a smaller dose of a longer acting barbiturate given at the daytime, which can produces drowsiness, reduction in anxiety and excitability. However, they do not have the selective anti-anxiety action. Barbiturate can impair the learning, short-term memory and the judgment, and they have no analgesic action, and smaller doses may even causes hyperalgesia, and euphoria may be also experienced by addicts. The barbiturate have anticonvulsant property also. So these are the actions, pharmacological actions of barbiturate in the CNS. And next is the pharmacological action in respiratory system, skeletal muscles, cardiovascular system, kidney and the enzyme induction. When we considering the respiratory system, the respiration is depressed by relatively higher doses, and barbiturate does not have the selective antitussive actions too. And when we considering the skeletal muscles, the hypnotic doses have little effect, but anesthetic doses reduces the muscle contraction by acting on the neuromuscular junction. And in cardiovascular system, the hypnotic doses of barbiturate, which produces a slight decrease in the BP and heart rate, and toxic doses which may produces marked fall in blood pressure due to the vasomotor center depression and ganglionic blockage and direct decrease in the cardiac contractility. And on smooth muscles, the tone and motility of bowel is decreased slightly by hypnotic doses. And when we considering the action in kidneys, the barbiturate tends to reduce the urine flow by decreasing the blood pressure and increasing the ADH release. And in enzyme induction, it induces the cytochrome P450 microsomal enzymes in the liver, and chronic administration reduces the action of the drug and that are dependent on the P450 metabolism. So this is the pharmacological actions of the barbiturate on various systems. Now we will discuss the therapeutic uses of the barbiturates. Nowadays, the barbiturates are not used as hypnotics and anxiolytics, and they are replaced by the benzodiazepines. Only the ultra-short-acting thiopental are used intravenously to induce the anesthesia, and also the long-acting phenobarbital is used in epilepsy treatment. And the barbiturates are used in long-term management of tonic-clonic seizures, and sometimes they are used as adjuvant in the psychosomatic disorders. So these are the therapeutic uses of the barbiturates. Now we will discuss the pharmacokinetics of the barbiturates, that is the ADME of barbiturates. Barbiturates are well absorbed from the gastrointestinal tract and they are widely distributed in the body, and the rate of entry into the central nervous system is dependent on the lipid solubility. High lipid solubility thiopental has practically instantaneous entry, while the less lipid solubility, that is the phenobarbitons, take longer time for the entry into the CNS. And metabolism, when we considering the metabolism, the drugs with intermediate lipid solubility, that is the short acting barbiturates, are primarily metabolized in liver by the oxidation, dealkylation and the conjugation process, and their plasma T half ranges from 12 to 40 hours. And in the excretions, the barbiturate with the low lipid solubility, that is the long-acting agents, are significantly excreted unchanged in the urine, and the T-half of phenobarbital is 80 to 120 hours. And alkalination of urine increases the ionization and excretion, and this is the most significant in the case of long-acting agents. So this is the pharmacokinetic of the barbiturates. Here we can see the adverse effects of barbiturates, that is the side effects such as hangover was common after the use of the barbiturate as hypnotics. On repeated use, they accumulate in the body and produces tolerance and dependence also. Mental confusion, impaired performance and traffic accidents may also occur, such as a side effects. And also the hypersensitivity, that is the rashes, swelling of eyelids, lips, etc. may occur. These are more common in atopic individuals. And also withdrawal symptoms causes tremor, anxiety, weakness, restlessness, nausea and vomiting, and cardiac arrest due to the tolerance and dependence. These are the most common adverse effects due to barbiturates. Here I added some of the drug interactions of barbiturates. Barbiturate induces several CYP isoenzymes including glucuronil transferases, and increases the metabolism of many drugs and reduces their effectiveness, such as warfarin, steroids, tolbutamide, griseofulvin, chloramphenicol and theophylline. And also the additive actions with other CNS depressants such as alcohol, antihistamines, opioids, etc. And sodium valproate, which will increases the plasma concentration of the phenobarbital. It is one of the drug interaction. And also the phenobarbital competitively inhibits as well as induces the phenytoin and imipramine metabolism. That is, a complex interaction will occur. And also phenobarbital decreases the absorption of griseofulvin from the gastrointestinal tract. So these are the main drug interactions of barbiturates drug. That's all about the pharmacology of barbiturates. On the next session, we will discuss the pharmacology of benzodiazepines and the miscellaneous drugs comes under sedatives and hypnotics. Thank you all. Thanks for watching my channel. Please like, share, and for more videos, don't forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you all.